Chapter 5. Kathmandu was basking in glorious sunshine. A gentle breeze was soaring the blue jacaranda flowers onto a parked Volkswagen Beetle. A girl wearing faded jeans was taking in this sight, oblivious to the flowers landing in her hair. Nearby, a group of Tibetan children were picking the flowers off the ground and stuffing them into each other's vests as though the flowers were snowballs. They laughed as they played. The blue flowers kept drifting down, making me think of the sea pots in the mountains and the way snow fell on them in winter. A man on an Elementor motorbike screeched to a halt near the girl. She pulled a purple shawl out of her bag and shook her hair, making the blue flowers fall, then wrapped it the shawl. She got on the motorbike. I called Siring on my mobile. I knew he was working on a feature called Jacarandas and Love, and wanted him to come and photograph this site. I can't come now, she said crossly. There were very few vehicles on the road that day. Another young couple drove off in a car and parked behind a jacaranda tree. They stepped out of the car, their arms raised to receive a shower of blue blossom. This girl was also wearing jeans. They fitted her like a second skin. I couldn't take my eyes off her legs. On the other side of the street was a wall painted with advertisement for Fair and Lovely cream. The couple lay down on the ground between the car and the wall. No one could see them except for me and the jacaranda tree. The young man leaned over and kissed the girl on the lips, then on the cheek. His lips were a paintbrush with which he colors her. She blushed in pleasure and passion, her body moving tenderly with each stroke of his brush. Soon a painting was in the making, its final result impossible to predict. My mobile shouldn't have rung at that moment. Everything should have been painted there except the flowers, the lover's lips and my eyes. I should have been transformed into the branch of the tree on which I was leaning. My clothes should have turned into camouflage. Nothing in the world should have interfered, but my mobile rang. If I answered it, I'd ruin the lovers. Rendezvous. They would fly away crossing me like a pair of frightened doves. Most likely, they had never enjoyed any privacy or a chance to kiss like this. They would have to wait another year for another afternoon like this, when the streets were empty and the blue flowers showering down. And who knew what might happen to their relationship by then? They might not even be on speaking terms. A bomb might explode in the city, claiming one of their lives, or the man might get caught in crossfire while traveling outside the capital. His car might be ambushed. Anything could happen to deprive the couple of another afternoon like this. The young woman's eyes were still closed. The man was gently picking flowers from her hair, the jacaranda tree replacing each bloom he removed. The woman was a jacaranda tree in full bloom. The man, her spring. The Tibetan children shouldn't have been spying on the couple. Suddenly, the young woman heard a giggle, opened her eyes, and seeing the children watching, melted with embarrassment. Still hiding, I answered my phone. It was sitting. I hissed, "Come quickly. This might be your last chance to see the jacaranda in full bloom." "Sorry, Drisya," she said. "I'm here waiting for the right light to take some shots of migrating birds. I want to capture the afternoon sun. It's for a travel magazine. Please don't disturb me." I pictured Siring perched in a tree, his camera focused on nest below in which a mother bird was tending to her newly hatched chicks, their eyes not yet open. What more peaceful image could there be for a travel magazine than a migrating bird raising its chick in Kathmandu? I got in my car and drove down the alley under the rows of jacaranda. Heading towards the highway, I drove aimlessly. At a police checkpoint, I stopped behind a truck packed with chickens. There were some boys in school uniform on the truck. One sneezed violently. The boys looked at the armed police guarding the checkpoint, and the police stared back. "Look, we have reached Kathmandu," another boy said, pointing excitedly towards the city. "Yes, Kathmandu," the first boy said. He sneezed again. A rooster jumped about in a bomber case, flapping its wings in alarm. The sun shone brightly, the sky was blue, and the hills that stood like beautiful guards around the Kathmandu valley were clearly visible. A mass of clouds were rolling towards the Langtang range to the north. "Look at the frog," one of the boys on the truck shouted, pointing at me. The rest joined in the fun, shouting, "Frog, frog." I realized they were actually looking at my Volkswagen Beetle. "Where are you boys from?" I shouted above the noise of the chickens. "School," one replied. "The village," said another. "Where's village?" I asked. "Below Tanjuli Himal." I stared, my eyes welled with tears. 15 years ago, I had come from the same region when I entered the Nepal Valley for the first time. I had been like these boys, excited and uncertain. That was the first time I had ever seen a road full of vehicles. I had arrived during a Shark summit, and we had had to go through countless checkpoints. The truck I had come on had been carrying sacks of rice, but fortunately I had been able to sit up front with the driver. I had arrived late, and my boarding school was locked up for the night. I had to sleep in the guard room. I looked at the boys on the truck, beating them. One of them was about to say something to me, but the truck started up with a rumble. The other boy sneezed loudly, and the rooster flapped its wing. I watched them go, filled with nostalgia. One of the boys wept at me, and then the others wept too. I remember the day I left my village. I had run all the way through the paddy fields till I found my way blocked by a herd of cows coming back from the pastures. A startled calf attacked me, choosing me over his serve. I had overheard someone at a nearby tea shop say, "Look, our teacher's son is leaving our boarding school." It seemed like yesterday. My best friend, Resam, had been waiting for me below the paddy field. "Don't forget us," she had said, offering me a City flower as a parting gift. He and I had scampered down together till we reached the suspension bridge. He had been crying. I had wanted to comfort him. From my bag, I had taken out 2 bananas and given them to him. "I'll come for the Dasai holidays," I had said. "We'll play on the swings, I promise. You can teach me English when you come back," Resam had replied. Further along the highway, I looked for the truck with the chickens and the boys, but couldn't distinguish it from the other trucks. I started to cross the highway, but a car whizzed past me. Then a boy darted across the highway, chasing after a wheel that had rolled off a speeding van. It was dark by the time I got home. I was hungry. I heated some bread and sausages, got a few slices of cheese, poached an egg, and made some tomato achar. Then I sat down eating at my computer. A 16-year-old girl had entered the chat room. "Sweet 16, I wrote. "I am twice your age." "No problem," came the reply. "I like mature men." She said her name was Lara, but I suspected she was a Nepali. No matters, she sounded saucy. I'll catch her, I thought. She, too, might be a falling yellow leaf. Who knew, maybe she had also go on about meeting a firm place to land, and what better place could she find than my lab, right? Cheering, the idiot was probably already asleep, and not just asleep, but snoring his head off. His wife had left for a pilgrim to Mansarovar, and the bastard was enjoying a few days peace and quiet. "I'm a Sherpa," I wrote to Lara. "I just come back from an expedition to Mount Everest. She wrote back, "Did you see a yeti?" "Yes, but it ran away." "Why?" "Because I was riding a yak." "So you didn't climb Mount Everest. You climbed a yak." "I climbed Mount Everest on a yak." "It's the yak that reached the peak. You just sat on its back, like a bottle of oxygen." My mobile beeped then. Shearing had sent a message asking what I was up to. "Busy in chat room." I texted back, "I hope he won't call to invite me to his place for dinner so late." He didn't. He just sent another message. "Who with?" "Teenager," I replied. "Congrats," he wrote. "Feel young again?" I didn't reply. If he wants to talk, let him come online, I thought. I probably had a hard day photographing his migrating birds. He had probably had a hard day photographing his migrating birds. He was probably tired. I asked the teenager, "Have you ever read of a yak climbing Everest with a man on its back?" "It's the first time I have heard of such a thing," she wrote back. "Shouldn't it go in the Guinness Book of Records?" "I'm thinking about it." "And what did you see from the top of the world?" "Contrary to what you might expect, I didn't see any mountains or the Tibetan plateau or any Lhasa-bound aircraft. Instead, I saw fairies smiling and waving at me. Among them was a girl named Lara." "How romantic. We should go on a date," she wrote back. I didn't hesitate. "Sure, when?" I wrote. "Whenever you are free." "How about now?" Was she kidding? "It's a bit late, isn't it?" I wrote back. "Do you only date in the afternoon?" she wrote. I laughed and wrote, "I am flexible." "So what's the problem with now?" she insisted. "Okay, but let me ask you one thing." "What?" "Are you a virgin?" I wrote a bit crudely. "What difference does that make?" "Just asking." I pressed on. "Stupid Ulu," came the reply, and then ha ha ha. "Who is this?" I asked. "Tell me who you are, if you have the guts." My God, it was Siri. Outraged, I switched off the computer but immediately wondered why I had done it. Angrily, I switched it back on and put on a CD. I wanted to fall asleep to the sound of music, but the song I had chosen wasn't right. Still irritated, I went to the cupboard and took out a Narayan CD. I put it on. "I don't know where I'll be going after I get up in the morning." Shearing rang just then. "Want to get another for a drink?" he asked. He heaped abuse on him, using every swear word I could think of, then hung up with a bang. I was still cursing him as I got ready for bed. Then I started laughing at myself for trying to pass myself off as a Sherpa to the son of a Sherpa, for claiming to have climbed Mount Everest, for asking the girl if she were a virgin. I was sure Shearing must be laughing at home as well. I was right, he called back. "So, how was your chat?" "Not bad. I did a wonderful thing today." "What was that?" "I punctured a balloon that was flying high in the air." "You are totally useless," I shouted and hung up again.